What's up, everybody? Welcome to my very first episode of my new channel, Let's Be Real. In this channel, what I'm going to be talking about is different issues that I have in my life and am experiencing or have experienced different circumstances. I'm just going to be being honest and real about myself and just opening up. And if it helps somebody, that's the whole purpose of it. If somebody's out there dealing with the same things, and maybe they need to hear it. So, that's the whole purpose of this channel, is just to open up and see, who needs to hear this stuff. And if it helps one person by me talking about my issues, then hey, it's worth it. But in the end, even if I don't help anybody, even if nobody listens or nobody watches, I'm still venting. I'm still getting stuff off my chest. So, it's still good either way. Let's jump right into it. The first topic is going to be depression and anxiety. The reason why I'm putting them both in the same episode is because for me, they go hand in hand with each other. What is depression and anxiety if you don't know what it is? So I'm going to give you the definition. Depression. It's a feeling of severe despondency and dejection. And when I first read that, I didn't know what those words meant, despondency and dejection. You might have a better vocabulary than I do, but I had to look them up. So the definition of despondency is a state of low spirits caused by a loss of hope or courage. Dejection, a sad and depressed state, low spirits. So that's the definition. And anxiety. A feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. That's pretty much self-explanatory on that one. There wasn't no big words. But I really want to say depression and anxiety is a real issue that a lot of people deal with, a lot more than you might think. And so if you know anybody who might be dealing with this, definitely they might need to hear this as well. But always be careful, because you don't know who, you might think that somebody's just crying out for help or having a pity party or just being selfish, but really they might be going through it. They might be going through these issues. I want to read this real quick. It says, anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the U.S., affecting 40 million adults in the United States age 18 and older. That's a lot of people. 40 million people, that's a lot of people. Major depressive disorder affects approximately 17.3 million American adults age 18 and over in a given year. Like, man, that's a lot. It's a lot of people. And so you might not even realize somebody's going through it, and they are. So, keep that in mind. But yes, I'm going to get into it. What is my first memory of depression and anxiety? I would have to say depression is the very first one. I would go all the way back to elementary school. And I know it's kind of hard, right? To be like, wow, how could you be depressed and you were in elementary school? But I told you in the last videos, I went through a lot in my home, where I lived at with my grandparents. Physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and all that stuff. I remember I was a depressed little child, always crying and always, sad and really sad. And then on top of that, not having my mom and my dad, I couldn't go to them because I didn't have them, and all that stuff that I was dealing with. I remember feeling, that sadness, that deep hurt. And no child should have to grow up like that. No child should have to be sad that way. Children are supposed to be happy, and I wasn't. So that was my first memory of depression. Anxiety. I specifically, that's a more tragic memory. And my first memory of anxiety, my first experience of anxiety was when my mom passed away. So my mom's been passed away for about 4 years now, and it was just an all of a sudden thing. She wasn't sick or anything like that, but my mom did live a hard life. She was an alcoholic. She did drugs, and she lived a street life, and so her passing away, it was a result of alcohol and drugs. And I'm not gonna get too much into detail because I want to make this its own episode. I'm gonna talk. That's gonna be a whole nother video by itself talking about this subject. But so when she passed away, somebody found her and called my family, and so then everybody, one person just called the next person, and so I got my phone call, right, and they told me, your mom was dead. My sister actually said that, and I remember hearing those words, and I couldn't even process it at the time. Like I just right away was in denial, right? I didn't really think, I was like, no, that can't be true, and I broke down. And I think I had, at that point, I don't know. I don't know if it was a minor anxiety attack, but I felt it already. I started feeling it now thinking back. But then, so we went, right? We went to the hospital. She was rushed in the hospital. And so after that, I'm going to skip a little bit, but after everything, when it was time for me to go home again, so where I lived at that time, it was literally in the same area, same neighborhood where my mom stayed. So where she passed away at was literally right down the street from my place. So whenever I was time to come home, I remember going into the neighborhood, and as soon as I started seeing the streets, as soon as I started seeing the area, I started feeling it. And I remember I started, I felt like I started hyperventilating, right? I started crying, I started hyperventilating. And by the time we got to park into my place, I couldn't control myself. I was crying, I was hyperventilating, and I was having an anxiety attack. But at the time, I had never experienced anything like that. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what the heck was going on. Like, I could not breathe. My hands started getting numb. And my body started locking up. My face started getting numb. Like, it was a scary feeling because it feels like you're almost like you're gonna pass out. Is really what it feels like, and it's a really scary feeling not to be able to breathe, and you're hyperventilating, trying to catch your breath, and you can't. And it took a little while before it actually passed, but it eventually passed. And so that was my first anxiety attack. And since then, I realized that that's what it was. I realized after that that's what it was. And then, it became an ongoing thing. Ever since then, I dealt with anxiety. The effects that anxiety and depression have had on me. Depression and anxiety have had a major effect in my life in all kinds of different areas, ranging from work to my relationships to just everything. Just it's a major effect. Depression definitely has had an effect on my work, my jobs that I've had in the past. It's hard to keep a job and to do good in a job when every once in a while you just automatically snap and go into a deep depression and you don't feel like doing nothing. Whenever I go through a depression, when I'm in a deep depression, I don't feel like doing anything. I get stuck, like mentally stuck. I just want to stay in the dark, and I just want to stay and just don't do anything. And what it is these voices, not voices, right? Because y'all gonna check me into a mental psych ward, but it's my thoughts. It's thoughts. That's the best way that I could explain it. Thoughts, and they come and they just overtake you, and it gets to the point. So many thoughts telling you, you're not enough. You're never gonna amount to anything. You're not gonna be successful. You just give up. And exactly what that definition says, loss of hope. That's what it feels like. You get to it's a hopelessness. It's a state of hopelessness, and it's hard to stay working at a good, and whenever I'm calling in and saying I can't go to work because, and I'm not telling them I'm not going to work because I'm depressed, but I'm calling in. I'm missing days, and so it's affected me in my workplace for sure. And then, especially like what I do right now, I'm in sales, and in sales, you have to be in a positive mindset. You have to be outgoing. You have to be upbeat. And so whenever you go through a depression and you're trying to, your job, requires you to be happy and but requires you to be up is not. You're not gonna have productive days like that. So, I've definitely struggled in that area and tried to overcome it the best I can. Relationships. In relationships, it doesn't have to necessarily be an intimate relationship, because I would say all relationships. I've heard so many things by so many people, right? They don't really understand what depression is. They don't understand what it is. They don't really know about it. And I've heard everything from, you're a man, you need to be a man, you need to get up, you need to go out and work, stop being lazy. Like, it gets on my nerves so bad, because some of these people that say these things have never experienced it in their life, don't know what it's really about, and they might think that, okay, see, because a lot of people, some people like that, they are ignorant to it. They'll say, okay, well, I've been through the same thing. I was sad at one point, and I had to get back up, and I had to, okay, but you people think that, okay, they might have went through their little sad moment. This is not a little sad moment. This is not something that, it's not a little thing. I wouldn't wish it on nobody, and it's not that easy. It's not that easy when you're really stuck in that mode to just get up and say, you know what, it takes work. It takes work, and it's hard. It's really hard sometimes to get myself out of that mindset. And so that kind of relationships, people like that get on my nerves, and I can't stand them. Definitely, if you know anybody who maybe you've been that type of person, maybe you got somebody who's been that way, and if you know anybody who's going through depression or anything, and you don't really understand it, and you don't know about it, please don't go over there and start talking down on them. Please don't, because it's not gonna do anything. You're only making it worse. If you don't know about it, Google it. You'll get information. That way you can better understand the subject, and their situation, and try to go back and find a better way to go and approach the situation. And then definitely, intimate relationships is like, yeah, it's definitely affected those. No woman, not a lot of women are gonna be okay with their man getting stuck in this crybaby mode, or just a down and out mode where he don't want to do nothing. A lot of women ain't gonna deal with that. And so, yeah, it can definitely have an effect if you're in a relationship, you have a girlfriend, you have a spouse. It could definitely get in the way of that if they don't understand. If they're, if you got somebody who's really loving and is really down for you, then they're gonna respect you, and they're gonna help you through it. But if not, then it's not gonna work out. It's not gonna work out. And so, anxiety has had a major effect on me. There's things that I know that are gonna affect me with my anxiety, and then there's things that I don't know. Then there's things that something might trigger it, and I don't even know what triggered it, and I'm over here my heart's starting to beat fast, and I feel my chest gets heavy. But I do know some things, just like some public places I cannot go to. If I know it's gonna be a super super crowded place, I know that I probably shouldn't be there, because sometimes my anxiety, a lot of times it's happened to me a lot of times in crowded places where my anxiety starts kicking in. I start getting paranoid. It's just not good for me. I've been to clubs in the past, and I'm like, man, I should not have came to this club, because I start tripping out. There's too many people too close to me, and I start getting anxious. And so, public places, number one. Again, with the relationships, if your spouse is not, understanding, if they don't know about it, it's definitely going to get in the way with that. So it definitely will affect your relationships, and just progress and overall. I feel like depression and anxiety have set me back so much in my life. So much, especially like I said with the jobs. You can't have. I've messed up in certain situations, certain jobs, and they've set me back. They set me back, and not being able to be where I know I should be because of all the setbacks that I did, because of depression and anxiety. And, it's hard. It really is hard, and it's a daily struggle. Like I said, it's a real situation, and And but there are certain ways to overcome depression and anxiety, or to at least control them, in a better way. And so I want to give y'all some of these pointers. And y'all probably, maybe y'all already know about it, but if y'all don't, I guarantee if you try some of the things that I tell you right now, or try these things, it's not a lot, but it's a few things I'm about to tell you. And I promise you, if you try them, they're going to help you in some sort of way. And if not, you could play with it, but at least you get the basics of, there's things you could do. Number one is working out. For me, working out is a great way to get rid of your depression and anxiety. For me, I'm not a huge, I'm not like super swole and built, but I'm not as much as into fitness as I would like to be, but I still try to keep up with myself, and I work out at the house, and I try to do stuff, but it's still any type of working out, whether, you know what I mean, like you're just doing push-ups, or whatever it is. Working out is really good for me, and I think it's good. It would be good. It's good for everybody, anyways. Working out is good for it. Exercise is good. But yeah, definitely for me, it gets my heart. It gets my heart going. It is just sweating and getting my mind off of stress and anything that's gonna be. It's getting my mind off of things. It's getting my mind going. It's definitely one of my ways to get rid of my depression and anxiety. Number two is outdoors. Go outside. Go outside. Do not lock yourself in a dark room and expect things to get better, because they're not. They're not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. Go outside. Sometimes I have to go outside if I stay by myself, and I know my mentality. If I stay inside for too long, if I don't occupy myself, I start feeling it. I start getting depressed. I start hearing those thoughts again. I start getting anxious. And so I know, man, I got to get up and I got to do something. And one of the things that I do, I'll go outside, because some days I don't got nothing to do, but, and then I'm by myself. So I got to find something. I can't just I don't want to let myself fall into that. So go outside. I go outside. Even if you got to Google, the other day, I started feeling that type of way, and I typed in Google parks near me, and there was one 15 minutes away. So I walked, and just to go over there, and it was a nice day, and just to go out there, sit on the bench, walk around the park, just to be outside in the sun. It's a fact. The sun gives life. The sun gives life to plants. It's healthy for you. It's good for you. Sunlight is good. Don't lock yourself up in the dark. So that's a great way to help yourself out with that. Number three, music. Music has definitely helped me out. It's one of the ways that I occupy myself, and it's not just for me, because I write music, and so for me, writing music is a great way to release my stress, or to it's like venting, right? It's venting. And it's just, it gets my mind off of things. I'm focusing on writing. So if you're a writer, you write poetry, anything, get to writing. You know what I'm saying? Get to writing. And along with that, just listening to music. Any type of, I got to correct that. Not any type of music. Do not, you know what kind of music gets you in your mind and gets you in your zone. Do not don't do it on purpose. Like, I know that there's music that I can listen to, and there's music that I can't listen to, especially if I'm already feeling down and out. One of my favorite rock bands has always been 3 Days Grace. And I love their music. I love their songs. But I know at the same time that a lot of their stuff is kind of dark. It's kind of negative. It's not kind of. It is pretty negative. But so I know if I'm already feeling depressed, I cannot put them on. I cannot put that on. But listen to some positive uplifting music. One genre that I love is like my favorite, and it helps me, especially if I'm getting depressed, or I feel if I need to motivate myself, I'll put it on, and that's EDM. I love EDM music. And then some people, see, it's all dependent. It depends on you, right? It depends on the person, because that's one of my favorite genres. And for me, I love listening to it. But I've heard people say, some people, that type of music makes them anxious, just because of the tempo and the sounds and stuff. But for me, it doesn't affect my anxiety. It helps me out, and so I love listening to EDM. But those are ways to help yourself out. To get yourself out of that mindset. If you start feeling that type of way, do these things. Try them, just try them, and see if they don't work. But I guarantee they're gonna work in some kind of way. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that, like I said, I hope that this helps somebody. Even if it's helping one person, it's worth it. I'm gonna be dropping these every week. It's gonna be every Friday, and I want y'all to follow along. I want y'all to come, like my videos, comment, leave comments. Let me know what you're thinking about it. Let me know how you feeling. Let me know if there's something that I could talk about that might be helpful to you. Ask questions. That's what this is about. And like I said, this is about being real, and that's what I'm gonna do. Let's be real. I'm gonna put a link to. I'm gonna be posting these on Facebook, and I'm gonna have a YouTube channel. And so I definitely want y'all to watch this. If you feel like, and if you feel like anybody else might need to watch it, share them. Share these videos. It ain't gonna hurt. Just if it's gonna help somebody, then why not? But yeah, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all next week.